Hey there, this is Natalie, and I decided to do something a bit different today because I was browsing the internet for things about ReZero, as I want to do, and I found this really crap article on CBR, comicbookresources.com, which is one of those kinda crap sites that usually has either SEO type articles just to get views, or it has terrible hot takes about how things are problematic and that sort of stuff. So I wasn't expecting much from this article to begin with, but when I read it, it was just so baffling that I thought it might be fun to kind of make fun of it. Really, this probably was just written by somebody who had never watched or read ReZero and had just sort of looked up a few things about the plot on the wiki or something, because it doesn't make a lot of sense. So it probably isn't someone's serious view of ReZero. It's probably not the kind of thing to get angry about or anything like that. It's just funny that someone was kind of paid money to write this right when season 2 started airing, just to get some of those sweet ReZero search results. And it's just like, to read this when you know anything about ReZero is kind of funny. So I'm going to take a look at it now. It's the kind of thing that sounded like it would be almost interesting to begin with. 10 things that don't make sense about the isekai world. I thought it was going to be kind of unsolved mysteries to get curious about and make theories about, that kind of thing. They do claim that it's isekai world problems and plot holes we see here in the name of the article up here. So they do think these things are plot holes, which is kind of bizarre. But considering some of them they just sort of made up and aren't actually what's happening in ReZero at all, as you'll see. And some of them are just things that are supposed to not make sense yet because we're nowhere near the end of the story. Even in the web novel or the light novels, Tappei's only halfway through, or like on arc 6 of 11. So it's all a bit bizarre. But the other weird thing about this is that it actually has spoilers in it for the second core of season 2. So it was published in July. And it just kind of casually drops in things that won't be in the anime until the winter season of 2021, when we get to see the second part of season 2. And there's no spoiler warnings or anything. I think the person who wrote this has never watched ReZero and just kind of looked up some stuff that happens that they can make out is confusing or whatever, and just casually dropped in some stuff. So I have to give you guys that warning because I will be reading out the whole article, looking at the different chunks of it, and so you will find out something that you don't want to know yet if you watch this, unfortunately. But let's begin with the very first paragraph, which is already an error. So we've got ReZero, Starting Life in Another World, began as a light novel series written by Tappei Nagatsuki and illustrated by Shinichiro Otsuka, and has since branched out into a web series, manga and anime. The second season of the anime just began airing in early July on Crunchyroll. Now, the error I'm pointing out isn't Crunchyroll. It's the fact that it didn't start as a light novel series at all and then become a web series, manga and anime. It started as a web novel, was refined into a light novel series, and then the manga and anime were adapted from the light novels later on. So already we're off to a good start here. Something that 5 seconds of Googling would have told you. But, can't expect too much from CBR.com. One day, Natsuki Subaru was walking home from the convenience store, only to be swept into another world. It kicks off the story and also divided fans, many of whom couldn't understand the plot's focus on Subaru and his emotions. What? Subaru being transported to another world divided fans because they couldn't understand the plot's focus on Subaru and his emotions. Because in an isekai story, we normally don't focus on the main character. People don't normally get swept into another world. I mean, what are you talking about? Season 1 of the anime left a lot of questions unanswered. Yes, it did, because it was season 1. But fundamentally, the isekai world itself incorporates a lot of mysteries and details left up in the air. And again, that's true and that's supposed to be true. But they're not really going to talk about the kind of mysteries that we would talk about on this channel or on the ReZero Reddit or anything. They're going to talk about crazy things. So number 10, how do you reverse time by dying? The central premise of ReZero is that Subaru Natsuki resets reality each time he dies, and when he does, he goes back in time to a specific checkpoint to be brought back to life. It's like video game mechanics, in other words, yet it's not a video game world, unlike Sword Art Online, for example. Just how this happens is never explained, although the why of it can be answered. Okay, this bit's really good. In part by the curse of a dog bite, which led him to fall in love with a certain silver-haired elf. What? I mean, yeah, the return by death and how it works is one of the mysteries of ReZero, but the why of it can be answered in part by the curse of a dog bite, which led him to fall in love with a certain silver-haired elf. No! The dog bite curse is just a normal curse that would kill him, and it has nothing to do with him falling in love with Emilia or return by death. I don't get this, but, you know. This one is really dumb too. Number 9, why is Subaru the only one who remembers prior realities? Because he's the only one that gets to return by death. I mean, okay, let's see what they have to say. When Subaru comes back to life, it takes him several times to figure out what exactly is going on. He goes back in time and he's the only one who remembered what happens before and prior realities. The reason why has never been explained. Now, in terms of storytelling, it's crucial. This way, the story focuses on Subaru and his torment alone. But in terms of logic, we'd have to say there's a gap that has yet to been explained. I mean, is there though? Is it illogical that Subaru dies and returns to a previous point in time with his memories of what would happen next, and nobody else from the past remembers that alternate future? Is that illogical? No, the answer is no, it's not. Number 8, why does Subaru stay in the castle? Well, first up, my friend, this is not a castle. This is the mansion of Roswell L. Mathers, which Subaru stays in because he's invited to by Roswell L. Mathers. But okay, let's go along with the this is all a big mystery. Really, you may as well ask, why does Subaru do anything, at least in the beginning? He's a shiftless NEET, not in education, employment or training. A hikikomori, a recluse who is withdrawn from the world and any place in society other than the fringes. Yeah, that's not really a good sentence because it just says the same thing 3 times and kind of inaccurately, because he's only been a hikikomori for like 3 months. He's not really like some kind of weirdo that's always been hidden away from the world, like some kind of hermit, but you know, okay. You'd think dying over and over again would be a deterrent. A deterrent from what? But he settles into the castle with Emilia and the other girls quite easily. If you're a fan expecting some great meaning out of the fact he's there, it's not in evidence. Why would you be expecting there to be a great meaning out of Subaru living in a house with the people that are in the story and them inviting him to live there? I mean, where's the mystery? I don't understand your brain, person who wrote this. And now we just jump straight to to season 2 stuff, because yes, how can there be artificial spirits? The 400-year-old history of Roswell Lexus Mathers, who was possessed by the original Roswell all along, Echidna, the Witch of Greed, and the creation of artificial spirits is shrouded in mystery. Okay, they've just dropped in casually Roswell possessed, the original Roswell, who you've never mentioned in the story, and who people reading this before season 2 came out wouldn't even have known that there was an original Roswell. So none of this makes any sense. The 400-year history of Roswell Lexus Mathers, also, Roswell Lexus Mathers is not Roswell L. Mathers' canonical name. This one actually got me, because somebody asked me when I made a video about mysteries about Roswell, or facts about Roswell or something, somebody asked me in the comments what the L stood for in Roswell L. Mathers, and so I looked it up because I didn't know, and I found only a wiki entry for a fan fiction of ReZero, where Roswell, in that version of things, his middle name was Lexus. As far as I know, Tape has never said what Roswell L. Mathers' middle name is, and if he has, and that's why this fanfiction writer called him Roswell Lexus Mathers in his story, I don't know, but I think it's more likely that the person writing this article just sort of randomly stumbled upon Roswell Lexus Mathers and just put it in their article in this bit that has nothing to do with Roswell really anyway, because yes. But yeah, the creation of artificial spirits is shrouded in mystery. Well, it is, but not for the reasons that you think, my friend. According to the story, the artificial spirits were created to change reality with an ability to clone themselves. What? According to what story? A different one from ReZero, because that's never been said. The spirits don't all act the same way and have gone in different directions, adding to the confusion. Well, why would they all act the same way and go in? Who do you think they are, though? Who do you think are the artificial spirits you're talking about? I mean, we only know about a couple of artificial spirits. And why are there artificial spirits? Because someone made them. So they're artificial spirits. What? And staying on the subject of this person not really understanding anything, we go to, who is Puck and why does he only transform into the beast when Emilia is killed? Well, the picture you're using here kind of contradicts what you're saying, because that's a picture from the Bonds of Ice or Frozen Bonds OVA, in which we see Puck in his beastie form here talking to Emilia and them forming a contract together. So clearly he can turn into the beast when Emilia is not killed. He just doesn't. I think that's because he actually uses up so much mana when he is in his true form that he can end up ending the world with the freezing, which is what we see him do when Emilia is killed. He ends the world, and we don't know why he does that or why that's in his contract with Emilia. That is intentionally a mystery. But what they've got here is Puck is an especially confusing character. He calls Emilia his daughter in episode 15. Beatrice, another artificial spirit, calls him her brother. He was created by Echidna 400 years ago. Well, we don't know that. I mean, that's never been stated. But left her at some point and unfroze Emilia 7 years before the start of the election. Now, we know that Puck knew Echidna from the Frozen Bonds OVA, but we don't know that she created him. In fact, there are hints that Puck used to be something else, either a human or an elf, some kind of humanoid person. before he was a spirit. So there are various theories around this, like whether Puck was actually somehow Emilia's real father and for some reason was turned into this spirit, you know, maybe to have something to do with Emilia in the future. I have all kinds of theories about this, but it doesn't really have anything to do with what this person is saying. So he does act as Emilia's father at first. Because of a clause in his contract with Emilia, he can only turn into his beast mode once she dies. Another detail that's convenient to the plot but remains unexplained. Well, again, this isn't actually what happens. He can turn into his beast mode if he wants to. He turns into the beast of the end and ends the world when Emilia dies. And it's not like that's unexplained because it's convenient to the plot. That's unexplained because it's kind of a thing to wonder about for the story, you know? Number 5. What is Subaru's connection to the jealous witch, Witch of Envy? When Subaru tries to tell others about his return by death abilities, the Witch of Envy is able to stop him. He's connected to her via this ability, but the big unanswered question is, why? Why is she able to threaten him like that, and why is their connection present even before he's met her? On top of all that, the witch and Satella are two personalities in the same body, and while they both have feelings about Subaru, they fight with each other. Okay, well, the witch and Satella being two personalities is something that should have been revealed in the anime at this point. In the web novel and the light novels, this is something that's revealed in the scene we saw in episode 13 of season 2 when Subaru meets Satella. It wasn't included in the anime. I have no idea why that was cut. If you want to know what's said in the web novel, I do actually have a video reading out that part, so you can check that out. But in general, this is not something that is known in the anime and would be casually dropped into an article with no spoiler warnings or anything for people to read ahead of season 2 starting. So it's kind of weird. But again, they're making kind of big assumptions about it. We don't see them fight with each other or anything like that. We just know that the Witch of Envy and Satella are separate personalities. I mean, Subaru's connection to the Witch of Envy is one of the big mysteries of ReZero. We don't know why she loves him when, to him at least, he's never met her before. And that's likely to be one of the big revelations that we get further on. But they're kind of just describing this in a very strange way that I don't think anybody who was familiar with ReZero would actually describe it that way. Now we get on to another bit where they're going to spoil something. What's the assassin organisation and what do they want? So, Elsa Granhiert was a major villain of the series until she was finally killed by Garfield Tinzel. Yeah, that's a spoiler. In the second core, we will see Elsa be defeated in a big battle with Garfield. But, you know, they kind of think we can just know that now. She's unusually suited for the role with a bloodthirsty personality and zeal for battle. A curse doll, or vampire as she likes to call herself. Well, they've also just spoiled the fact that Elsa is kind of like a vampire. She doesn't call herself a vampire. Garfield suggests that she's similar to vampires that he's read about, and she says that she doesn't drink blood or have a problem with sunlight or something like that, and so she doesn't call herself a vampire, but she does have the kind of regenerative abilities that is the reason why she survived Beatrice's attack in the first core of season 2. When Beatrice shattered her, it wasn't actually her cloak that protected her from that, but the fact that she has this kind of like, I would say it's kind of like Deadpool. She can just regenerate very quickly and be ready to fight again. But, that is a spoiler, as is the fact that she gets killed by Garfield. But, they've just put that in. But who does she work for? The assassin organisation is made up of mercenaries and headed by someone called Mama, Archbishop of the Witch Cult. But nothing else is known. What do they want, and will they come back into the picture? Now, this alludes to something spoilery. It's kind of taken that Mama, who Elsa and Emilia work for, is actually Capella, the Sin Archbishop of Lust. Yeah, that's not even spoilers for season 2. That's going way further than that. So, good article. What they want and who they are is indeed a mystery, and whether they will come back into the picture it's very likely that they will, but it's not really a plot hole. Number 3, why does Emilia look like the Witch of Envy? There are many things about Emilia that aren't explained in the story. She gets a lot of flack because she looks so much like the Witch of Envy, who also has a strange and close relationship to Subaru. What's the deal here? There are fan theories that revolve around the witch using Emilia to get closer to Subaru, or maybe that they're somehow related. But nothing is so far explained. The Satella Witch-Emilia triangle is complicated. Well, yeah, it is a mystery what the connection between Emilia and Satella is. There are definitely theories about Emilia and Satella. None of them really revolve around the witch using Emilia to get closer to Subaru, given that the witch possesses Emilia in season 2, as we saw. So, we know that there are things we can make theories about the relationship between Emilia and Satella and the witch. But this is still a pretty weird way of phrasing that. 2 out of 10. Why does Subaru end up in an alternate fantasy reality in the first place? Yeah, this is probably... When Tape says there are 3 big mysteries in ReZero, and at the moment we don't actually even know what those 3 mysteries are, let alone the answers to any of them, because as I said, he's not halfway through the story really, in terms of writing it. But I do think that this probably is one of the big 3, is why is Subaru summoned to the ReZero world in the first place. And it says here, ReZero plays on classic Japanese story tropes about the ordinary person who's suddenly transported into an unusual fantasy world and then has to find their way through it. Yeah, the isekai thing is a popular Japanese story trope and has been for the last maybe 10 years or so. But it's not really a classic Japanese story trope. It's, the isekai idea has been around for as long as popular fiction has been around, both in the West and in Japan. We can look at stories like Alice in Wonderland and Narnia and things like that as very typical of isekai. The recent resurgence of isekai as a thing in anime and light novels is really more around the trope of a very specific type of isekai story where somebody, a young person from our world gets transported into a world with usually some kind of RPG elements, or it's usually a very distinct kind of fantasy world, the medieval fantasy world with that one town from Konosuba as the starting town. That's what we see in the isekai. But, it kind of depends on the story whether that is part of the plot, whether it's a mystery, how they got there and that's something that's going to be solved in the story, or whether it's just, they're there for reasons we find out straight away, like they're just reincarnated there with their smartphone because God feels bad about how they died or something like that. Or whether it's something like ReZero where we do think that that's going to be a big part of the story, the reason why it's Subaru, why he was summoned, how he was summoned, how other characters from our world have ended up also being summoned to this world. Why only to Subaru, it says here. Well, actually, We know it wasn't just Subaru if we've read ahead, which this person I assume has, because they know Elsa dies and, they know all these things. So they would know about Al, they would know about Hoshin of the Wastes, they would probably know about Flugel. Subaru wasn't the only person isekai'd. Was it his destiny to come along and solve problems for Emilia and the other girls in the castle? Do they think this is like just about some girls in a castle and Subaru saving them or something? It's very weird. Or is there some other larger purpose that is yet to be revealed? Time may tell. I mean, yeah, if you were going to talk about the mystery of why Subaru was transported into this world, you wouldn't say, was it his destiny to come along and solve problems for Emilia and the girls in the castle? Which is a mansion, not a castle. But you wouldn't say that. You'd be like, well, okay, he was summoned here with Return by Death straight away, so it's probably something to do with the Witch of Envy, something to do with his history with her. Meeting Emilia, that was probably something that was supposed to happen, maybe because Roswell has his gospel and was orchestrating these things to happen because he knew Subaru would come into this world and wanted him on Emilia's side. There's all kinds of paths you can go down thinking about what we do know and what we don't know about why Subaru might have been brought to this world. But this ain't it. And now we get to the final one, which is again something that is a valid thing to think about and make theories about and consider to be a mystery in ReZero, but they're going to say something dumb about it. And that is, how do the reset checkpoints work? Other than the fact they exist, we know nothing about how the reset checkpoints work when Subaru uses his Return by Death powers. What changes? Is it random or influenced by something that Subaru has done? He may be achieving some kind of set conditions that he and fans alike are not aware of. Perhaps the Jealous Witch is influencing where he ends up. What influences the checkpoint upgrades? His actions, completions, the place itself, or a combination of those and other factors? Well, this is an interesting thing to make theories about. I mean, when I made the video about the greed if the other day, which I uploaded, I think, on Wednesday, I was talking about the fact that Echidna talks to Subaru in the greed if, where they're contracted together, about how his checkpoint is upgraded and that updated, sorry, this person said upgraded and now it's stuck in my head. His checkpoint has updated and that is likely to mean he's about to be challenged in a major way. Personally, I think that Subaru gets transported back to the closest point in time where his death is no longer inevitable. I think there's a big thing with causality there. I have a whole theory about this that I'm going to make a video about very soon. I've kind of been working on it for a while on and off, where I think that because of causality, it can be figured out where the last point in time that Subaru was before an action was taken by him or somebody else that made his death inevitable, put him in danger, he gets taken to that point so that he can carry out a different course of action, eventually avoiding the dead end of death, as it's quite often referred to. So that would explain why in sometimes we see him go back just 15 minutes before he died. That's in Arc 5, but this thing's full of spoilers, so I'm going to have to put spoiler warning on it anyway, so I might as well talk about that. He can go back in time just 15 minutes before he dies in Arc 5, because it's very obvious that he can avoid that death just by not going to the place where the event is going to happen. That kills him, which is Sirius, the Archbishop of Wrath, killing a bunch of people in a town square. It seems unfair that Subaru only has 15 minutes to figure out how to stop this atrocity, but from the point of view of Satella, who only cares that Subaru lives, he can very easily avoid dying by going back just to that point 15 minutes earlier and not going to that place. So, that does make logical sense. I think with all of his other checkpoints, the times we've seen his checkpoint update in the middle of a loop, like with the white whale when he kills the whale, and then the checkpoint updates before he goes to take on Petaljuice. He was previously in a position where he was inevitably going to die if he was killed during the battle against the white whale. Once that was over, he was once again at a safe point in time where he could have chosen not to go and confront the witch cult. He could have done all manner of things to keep himself safe, and so his death didn't become inevitable again until he left that safe moment and went and fought against the Sin Archbishop and his fingers. Subaru being at odds with Satella's goal of keeping him safe and well because he wants to protect other people is what kind of causes him to keep using Return by Death. But he could, if he only cared about saving himself, more often than not, from the save point that he goes to, just not take any particular action and run away and remain safe. So I think that's how it works, but that is something that is the subject of theories, and it is something that I think we're supposed to not understand yet. So it's not a plot hole or a convenient thing in the story that's just there and we just have to accept it, that we'll never really get how it works, or it's illogical but it's good for the plot, so let's just enjoy it kind of thing. I don't think ReZero really has a lot of that kind of thing. I don't think it actually has a lot of things that you just have to accept to as gaps in logic that you just have to accept to enjoy it. It's not really written that way. But yeah, that was this brilliant article from CBR. I had some fun reading this. Like I said, this isn't something that I'm saying we should be outraged about or anything like that. It's clearly just something they paid some freelance writer a few dollars to put together so that they could, go up in the search rankings when people were looking for stuff about ReZero when season 2 hype was on the go. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this journey into bafflement with me. And if you guys happen to find any strange articles or terrible hot takes about ReZero that you'd like me to talk about in a video, then, let me know in the comments and I will do my best for you. Other than that, I'm going to be getting back to making my Higurashi videos, playing through the visual novel, my web novel readings of ReZero Arc 4, and a few other things I have in the pipeline for you this week. So I hope to have some new content out for you very soon. This was just something I decided to do on the fly while I was browsing for tasty ReZero things to think about. Thank you very much for watching. As always, please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this, and I look forward to seeing you again very soon.